the machine, the system that tries to control, it doesn't fear useful idiots, and it fears the one, the individual that no one can own. That's the essence of this. Candace Owens is not a Russian agent. That's the new one. That's the new one. That's the one that kills me. Oh, you went to Russia? Oh, well, you're a Russian agent. What? But you went to Israel. That's different. Wait a minute. Why is that different? Well, it just is. They're doing the old Russian agent thing. What about you're a Ukrainian agent? Well, that's okay. It's mind-boggling. And the part that I want to just keep explaining to people, especially those who are the uninitiated, is that Candace Owens is something far more destabilizing to the people, to the country, to the folks who need the American right to remain kind of managed. And I'm going to use that word right and left. Let me just bore you ahead of time by telling you this. I'm going to say right and left just for shorthand purposes. I don't know if anybody's really right or left anymore. I don't think anybody really understands what that means, but there are a bunch of people who need what we call the kind of like the cosmic right to remain this kind of a managed, predictable, and ultimately disposable political apparatus or ideological apparatus. Candace Owens is an unownable variable that's built in a system specifically built and constructed on dual loyalties, donor discipline, narrative closure. These are kind of highfalutin terms, but this is precisely what this is. And when an American with her reach and her power and her popularity and they love her, when someone like that refuses every available leash, every available limitation stricture, funding pressure, attempts at, I love this, social ostracism, institutional access, foreign policy specifics, orthodoxy, the response from these folks is not argument. It is the reclassification. See, that's the thing. That's the way. Remember the expression, first they denied you, then they laughed at you, then they called you crazy, whatever I'm paraphrasing it perfectly. This is differently. First they call you hysterical. By the way, hysterical, don't overlook the dare I say, the misogynistic Freudian reference there, as in uterine hysterical, hysterectomy. Women are hysterical. Men are crazy. They're jerks. They're, a-holes. But women are hysterical. Then comes the disloyal. Notice the transition. You try this, and then you keep moving until you saturate and you desiccate every last drop of rational connection. So then disloyal. Then, when those two fail, they reach for the ultimate Cold War residual, this hackneyed tropism that's just, they dust it off. Russian agent or Russian sympathizer or Putin apologist. What were they else? Putin apologist. And you would think, these don't work. They don't work. So why are you using them still? I don't know. She went to Russia as a visitor and a speaker at an economic forum, which people all over the world do. I don't know what they think this is. I don't know what they think this epicenter of classical established science and philosophy. This is just, what do they think Russia is? Seriously, what is it, like Jonestown? Some cult? Some camp? She looked at the gap between American media portrayals, you imagine that, and the physical reality in front of her. Cleaner streets, cheaper basics, open Christian expression. You want me to go there? I don't think so. And she said the quiet part out loud. That alone was enough to trigger the same chorus, the same usual suspects. that treats public, repeated, almost liturgical declarations of fealty and devotion to another foreign capital as the highest expression of American patriotism. You see, no one with a straight face, honest to God, calls those people Israeli agents. Never. In fact, the word agent is reserved only for the person who declines the expected and accepted genuflection and obeisance and, oh, yes. And the asymmetry that we're talking about is not a bug. It's the operating system. And we know it. It's beyond obvious. It's the fact that I'm even saying it is embarrassing. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I'm telling you what everybody knows. And this is why the Charlie Kirk question remains so radioactive nearly a year after the assassination. You see, the official frame is kind of a tidy little framework, if you will. Tyler Robinson, a disturbed young man, a lone gunman, the Lee Harvey Oswald of his time, shot from a rooftop. There were DNA tests and admissions and case closed, and that's it. That was enough for a preliminary hearing, certainly as to establish probable cause, and the machinery of justice, and that is it. And the public conversation still prioritizes this strict narrative discipline, this focused narrative discipline over forensic curiosity. We have no such thing anymore. We're a country, by the way, who supposedly loves true crime. We love this. Oh, except for this case. Oh, no, this is different. This is open and shut. Don't talk about it. Candace keeps pressing the edges that the system once sealed and shut and forgotten. See, succession claims inside TPUSA, the speed of, what would you call it, operational control, internal audio, donor behavior, the emotional, like this choreographed reaction, the choreography of the aftermath. Have you noticed that? The FOIA fights over documents that keep getting narrowed and delayed. Candace Owens is not merely asking who pulled the trigger. Oh, nay. She's asking who benefited. Cui bono, cui prodest. Who benefited from the sudden removal of a figure who, for all his limitations and shortcomings, still carried an independent brand that could not be fully scripted. And don't think for a moment that didn't play a huge, as we say in Hell's Kitchen, a huge role in this. People do not want that question answered because a genuine, open-ended investigation risks exposing how so much of the, I'm going to do air quotes here, the grassroots conservative apparatus sits, downstream of donor networks. Oh, yes. Understand how this thing works. This is upsetting group. Donor networks, consultancies, and what amounts to kind of a soft power arrangement that all of them which prefer martyrs to living, unpredictable leaders. See, a closed case, a disposed of case, open and shut, where the convenient shooter always keeps the base focused on cultural enemies and the institutions intact because they know that choreography, they know that narrative, they know that routine. See, an open case forces, they don't like this, confrontation with all kinds of nefarious little things like institutional self-protection. They don't like that. See, Candace's repeated, sustained, and obstinate refusal to accept the closed case, and by the way, may I say this, all of us as well, maybe as minions and acolytes, I don't know, but her refusal is treated as a kind of a personal pathology rather than rational pattern recognition and the acceptance of the reality that it is. See, that treatment is itself the evidence. Erica Kirk, fantastically complicated, fantastically fascinating. She functions as the widow firewall. Widow! Ah, Dana Lash, those words resound in our consciousness. The widow! And it's funny that we're laughing about it, but it's true. See, grief is real. The strategic use of grief is something else. Question the timeline. The alleged Succession video that still has not been publicly released in full. Remember that one? Where what Charlie wants, which, by the way, implies an operational process that doesn't even exist. Husbands, spouses don't denote their, anyway, they don't appoint. It's not his corporation. But you know that. I don't want to. I'm trying so hard not to regurgitate the truth and the obvious. But a lot of folks watching now for the first time have never heard this. What about all the fundraising optics? What about the no-shows? What about the internal dynamics? And you are not, by the way, in this analyzing power. You are desecrating a widow. A widow! A widow! Don't ask any questions. Don't. Accept the narrative. Accept it. This is sophisticated, or attempted sophisticated moral engineering. And by the way, it converts this really weird, which is so fascinating, this institutional continuity into the sacred taboo. Remember the Bride of Charlie? Oh my God, you dare. That was to many people, that was the loose change. That was the JFK. That was the red pill for a lot of folks. See, the Bride of Charlie framing a lot of questions in a unique way have thrown the questions that have been thrown at Candace. It's kind of a tell. You see the machine. By the way, I keep calling it the machine. I don't know what you want to call it. We call it the blob in State Department. Anyway, the machine, we'll call it that. The machine prefers the widow narrative as untouchable object, and the critic as this jealous, hateful, psychotic, demonic interloper. How dare you challenge the widow? And see, it's easier than explaining why the organization closed ranks with such celerity, such speed, and such almost like precision uniformity. Oh, and gender plays a role, but it's secondary. A black woman who rejects both progressive racial essentialism and elitism and the usual script. They handed her the script, she handed it back. Here's a black woman who's rejecting this. Who goes, oh, nay, nay. And the conservative, good black script. See, you know what? We like you so long as you don't veer out of your lane. See, all of that creates a category error that the system was not designed to process. This doesn't compute. It's like two countervailing arguments. How do we do it? What is it? Because don't think for a moment. A lot of the times you will see within certain aspects of the right what appears to be an acceptance of a political negritude, not political, social negritude, for lack of a better word, but it's in the kind of a yes. We like you so far as you know your place. See, the left cannot claim her. The controlled right cannot discipline her, period. And no matter what. And they can't use any of the usual channels because she built an audience, us, that doesn't require their permission. See, accusing her of being a Russian asset is a pathetic attempt to restore this foreign handler narrative, by the way, which is so old, precisely because the alternative which scares them, that she is simply operating as a sovereign American who notices things that we find a problem. See, that's intolerable. They can't handle that. The machine can't handle that. And it collapses. It destroys this carefully maintained fiction that serious opposition, serious dissent always have an external sponsor. She can't think of this on her own. No way. How come that little lady, she didn't come up with it on her own? Somebody must be telling her that. Not only is this nefarious, but it goes to show you how unimaginative these people are. And by the way, what's also interesting is very, very important. Here is the more far-fetched, but structurally and perhaps maybe intellectually coherent possibility that almost no one is saying out loud. Candace Owens represents the failure of a long-running project of demographic and ideological management on the right. See, for years the preferred model was the black conservative who knew her place, who would critique the left on, crime, family collapse, and cultural excess. So we could say, see, I don't want to use the word token, but we bring them out. You can say stuff we can't. Bring out the black guy. Bring out the black guy. See, she says it. See. Oh, I mean, there used to be years ago the black conservative before. Well, there was of course Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell. But those were intellectuals. But Ken Hamblin and J.C. Watts. Remember J.C. Watts, the conservative congressman? Remember J.C. Watts? You know what the C stands for? See? Armstrong, Williams. There were these people who came along, and they were almost antithetical. A black conservative? Is that oxymoronic? See, this is important. They can do this and point out, cultural excess and everything, but while carefully avoiding, by the way, the sacred cows of foreign policy and intelligence. We'll let you talk about certain things, but not the big boy stuff. You could sit at the children's table. See, community overreach, financial networks that underwrite the movement. Don't do that. See, this archetype, or archetypical structure, whatever, provide a useful cover against charges of racism. Remember, while remaining inside the permitted boundaries within your lane. So Candace broke the mold by refusing to stay inside it. Oh, she said, I'm not going to play this game. And once she began treating Israel policy and Ukraine funding and institutional capture and the Kirk case with the same skepticism, which you and I and everybody else with two neurons that rub together think, oh, this became a problem. Now she's applying it to progressive sacred counts as well. She stopped being a useful counter-narrative, the useful idiot, and she became a live wire, and she became a danger. And the Russian smear is this emergency reclassification protocol. You see, if you can't own her through money or access or social pressure, you've got to foreignize her. It's the playbook. It's all they have. And the fact that she has drawn scrutiny from French intel, appeared in influence documents, and is now painted as some Kremlin asset by what? By foreign allies? This is nonsense. And to many who, let's face it, just don't know any about it, that may be enough. See, this isn't proof of any kind of guilt. It's a proof of how many different power centers view an independent American voice, Candace Owens, as a threat that requires neutralization. You surround, you neutralize, and you try to liquidate, and you try to destroy. And the overreaction to a tourist trip that thousands of people all over the world take at any single time. It is one of the most vibrant tourist destinations. That's the part that gets me. This reaction only makes sense if the real issue is not even Russia at all. It is the demonstration that an American can look at a sanctioned country and notice the propaganda gap and refuse to perform the required hysteria, the song and dance, the tap dance, the routine, this obeisant reaction, that Fox News approved reaction. And the deeper conspiracy isn't that Candace is controlled by Moscow. No. It's that large segments of the American right have been trained to treat certain foreign relationships as non-negotiable, while at the same time, concomitantly, simultaneously treating any independent American inquiry as potentially treasonous. And the people, by the way, demanding her destruction, the people who are not primarily worried about Russian propaganda. They don't even know what that means. They're worried about the precedent of a highly visible figure, a woman, a black woman perhaps, maybe a black woman, a black conservative, a Catholic, no less, a Catholic. She converted to Catholicism. Dear God. Holy Vatican, Batman. A woman who does not require their permission structure, they hate that. And once that precedent exists, and once it becomes tantalizing, and once it becomes accepted, then the entire system of managed dualities, left versus right, the Manichaean good versus evil, all this up and down and conservative and blue and red and all that stuff. America first, versus neoconservative. Don't forget, the Straussian neocons, they haven't gone anywhere. And then you have populist versus institutional. Oh, my God. All of it starts to look like theater rather than some kind of an organic, real conflict. Look, Candace Owens is dangerous. She is lethal. She's poisonous and venomous. Get your herpetological distinctions on the way here. Candace Owens is dangerous, critical, because she is proving in real time that the permission structure, this system, can be ignored. She said, The Russian agent claim is the latest, desperate, the last available narrative weapon for people who have already lost the ability to control her through conventional means. It will not, repeat, it will not, and you know this, it will not work on the audience that has already watched her survive previous attempts at erasure. It will, however, I'm telling you right now, it will reveal who's in charge. And by the way, and it will reveal with perfect clarity who is committed to open inquiry and investigation and the like, and who is committed to this weird preservation of a carefully curated, carefully managed opposition that never threatens the deeper considerations, the deeper arrangements, the deeper coordinations of power. And that is the threat. Not Russia, not gender, not even the Charlie Kirk case itself. No, nay. The threat is an American who refuses to be owned, who refuses to be cowed, and the frantic, desperate attempt to invent a foreign master for her because the alternative, oh dear God, that she simply doesn't give a damn or have anybody controlling her, that is more destabilizing than actually coming up with some agent, influencer, or whatever. So what do you do? What do you do? First, stop treating the assault on Candace as entertainment or some tribal score settling. Treat it as a diagnostic, as a kind of a diagnosis, if you will. I guess I just said that, of the system's boundaries, limitations. Reject the foreign handler frame. It's hoary, it's otiose, it's useless, it's ridiculous, it's intellectually torpid, it's old. Get rid of it and reject it on principle. A visit to Russia doesn't make someone an agent any more than repeated public declarations of undying commitment to another foreign capital, another country, make someone an agent of that capital. Notice how it doesn't work that way? Notice how it doesn't work? It's incredible. The hubris, the cojones, as we say in West Tampa, or the C.O. Jones for the family. Now, you also must demand immediately the same evidentiary standard in both directions, or admit that you are running a loyalty test, not an investigation. If you're worried about foreign influence, if you're worried about pledging fealty, what about people who have actual dual citizenships? People who appear in the floor of the House wearing the uniforms of foreign armies? What? Can you imagine her wearing a I don't know an FSB, the Spetsnaz insignia? Oh my God, they wouldn't know what to do. Consistency, dear and loyal and gracious friend. Consistency is the only guaranteed inoculation against the smear. You must refuse this emotional blackmail around Charlie Kirk's death. Grief is real. The widow firewall is strategy. Widow! Questioning claims of succession and donor behavior and internal audio and video and timeline, discrepancies and anomalies, institutional self-protection, all of that is not desecration. Stop that. It's not blasphemy. It is pattern recognition. If the official story is solid, if it's true, it survives any kind of investigation or scrutiny. If it requires perpetual, designation of some kind of a moral taboo to protect it, then the taboo itself is the evidence. Keep asking the forensic questions the machine once closed. Don't be afraid. Stop. Immediately stop outsourcing your threat assessment to the people who need controlled opposition. The most dangerous figure in any managed political ecosystem, that word, is the one who proves you can operate without their permission structure, without their donors and their approval and their approbation and their networks and their social enforcement, or, more importantly, their foreign policy specifics and orthodoxy. Candace Owens is currently that figure for a very large segment of the right. And whether you agree with every claim she makes is irrelevant, it's secondary. The institutional response to her independence is the primary data. I want you to amplify this differentiation of treatment, this asymmetry, every time it appears. So when someone screams, "Russian agent," along with "widow," over a visit while treating open dual loyalty as patriotism, name the double standard without apology. Call them out. Shine a light on it. Treat widow and Russian as the two most overused deflection and distraction words in the current cycle. Demand primary documents, timelines, financial flows instead, and support, my friends, support platforms and voices and people and institutions that do not require this institutional clearance, because audience is the only remaining leverage that cannot be fully captured by donor or intel pressure. And if you're a creator, if you are one of us, stop producing content that merely reacts to the smear. Produce content that maps this permission structure itself. Who can be questioned? Who can question? Who cannot? And what happens when somebody steps outside both? You have the power to do this. The machine's goal, this group, is not to prove Candace is controlled by anyone, by Moscow or Putin or anybody else. Its goal is to make independent American inquiry, which is what we do, look inherently foreign, so that the domestic operations and arrangements of power remain unexamined and intact. And your refusal, your steadfast, intransigent refusal to accept that frame is the resistance. Everything else is commentary. Do not, listen to me, do not wait for permission to notice. Pay attention and focus. This is war, my friends, and we're going to win this thing absolutely, positively. I thank you so very much for your attention. Please do me a favor, my dear friends, and this is for you, and I mean that sincerely. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. So many of our subscribers have become unsubscribed. Make sure you hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. Like this video. Liking puts us under the HOV lane, so to speak, of our world. In any event, I thank you, my friends. You honor me with the ability to enter your home and your minds and your thoughts. And now, my friends, I ask you, as always, to comment as you see fit.